Hi, my name is Claire. I'm taking this class on Erich Fromm, and we're reading this book called Man for Himself. I'm going to read you guys a little excerpt, and then we'll get started. I'm just chatting a little bit about it. Humanistic ethics, for which good is synonymous with good for man, and bad with bad for man, proposes that in order to know what is good for man, we have to know his nature. Humanistic ethics is the applied science of the art of living, based upon the theoretical science of man. Here, as in other arts, the excellence of one's achievement is proportional to the knowledge one has of the science of man, and to one's skill and practice. But one can deduce norms from theories only on the premise that a certain activity is chosen and a certain aim is desired. The premise for medical science is that it is desirable to cure disease and to prolong life. If this were not the case, all the rules of medical science would be irrelevant. Every applied science is based on an axiom, which results from an act of choice, namely that the end of the activity is desirable. There is, however, a difference between the axiom underlying ethics and that of other arts. You can imagine a hypothetical culture where people do not want paintings or bridges, but not one in which people do not want to live. The drive to live is inherent in every organism, and man cannot help wanting to live regardless of what he would like to think about it. The choice between life and death is more apparent than real. Man's real choice is that between a good life and a bad life. It is interesting at this point to ask why our time has lost the concept of life as an art. Modern man seems to believe that reading and writing are arts we learn, that to become an architect, an engineer, or a skilled worker warrants considerable study, but that living is something so simple that no particular effort is required to learn how to do it. Just because everyone lives in some fashion, life is considered a matter in which everyone qualifies as an expert. But it is not because of the fact that man has mastered the art of living to such a degree that he has lost the sense of its difficulty. The prevailing lack of genuine joy and happiness in the process of living obviously excludes such an explanation. Modern society, in spite of all the emphasis it puts upon happiness, individuality, and self-interest, has taught man to feel that not his happiness, or if we were to use a theological term, his salvation, is the aim of life, but the fulfillment of his duty to work, or his success. Money, prestige, and power have become its incentives and ends. He acts under the illusion that his actions benefit his self-interest, though he actually serves everything else but the interests of his real self. Everything is important to him except his life and the art of living. He is for everything except himself. If ethics constitutes the body of norms for achieving excellence in performing the art of living, its most general principles must follow from the nature of life in general and of human existence in particular. In most general terms, the nature of all life is to preserve and affirm its own existence. All organisms have an inherent tendency to preserve their existence. It is from this fact that psychologists have postulated an instinct of self-preservation. The first duty of an organism is to be alive. To be alive is a dynamic, not a static concept. Existence and the unfolding of the specific powers of an organism are one and the same. All organisms have an inherent tendency to actualize their specific potentialities. The aim of man's life, therefore, is to be understood as the unfolding of his powers according to the laws of his nature. Man, however, does not exist in general. While sharing the core of human qualities with all members of his species, he is always an individual, a unique entity entirely different from everyone else. He differs by his particular blending of character, temperament, talents, dispositions, just as he differs at his fingertips. He can affirm his human potentialities only by realizing his individuality. The duty to be alive is the same as the duty to become oneself, to develop into the individual one potentially is. Thinking about life as an art of living is completely different than thinking about it as simply being alive or simply as living, as a concept that most people believe that they know how to do but haven't thought about it much because they haven't had to. It's not, most people, their lives aren't threatened completely every day, and so they don't understand or they don't realize that life can become an art that it's not just simply something you are, it's something you can become. It's a person you can be, a way you can live to reach your potentialities, to reach who you really are. And I don't think a lot of people have thought about it that way. I don't want to work to live. I don't want my work, schoolwork, or my job to become my happiness or to become synonymous with being happy or being alive. I want that to be separate. I want to work to live, not live to work. And that's something that you can work on if you really think about it that way. But if you haven't before, then I'm not sure if you would know how to do that. And that's something that Erich Fromm has really been talking about, and something that's really resonated with me in my in where I'm going in my life. So thanks for listening. Talk to you later.